Wonderful. Welcome to all who are joining us for this Phase 3 webinar of the Respirator Fit Evaluation Challenge, showcasing the Phase 3 prototypes. So really exciting to get to learn about these innovations, hear from the innovators themselves. Um, just give us a moment. There are more attendees coming in. We'll be sharing screen, and then we'll go ahead and get started in just about 1 or 2 minutes here. Great. It looks like we have just about everyone who is attending, so we are going to get started. I will do a few slides of just housekeeping, and then we will dive right on in. So if you wanted to jump to the next slide, Josh. Before we begin, we want to take, a big congratulations to all of the winners and the participants. We commend you for your groundbreaking prototypes and innovations and kind of pushing the boundaries of respirator fit evaluation. So, like we mentioned, we're really excited to hear about your various innovations and solutions. But congratulations, to the winners, congratulations. Also, Phase 3 participants, congratulations, really advancing the state of the art in evaluating respirator fit. So really high impact work, and thank you so much to all who participated. So today we will be listening to some opening remarks from the CDC NIOSH leadership team. We will give a brief challenge recap just to kind of set the stage for where we were and where we are now, distributing prizes and listening to the winners make their presentations about the various solutions that they have developed over the past years or even longer. And then we will also be hearing from the Phase 3 participants who also will take some time to talk to us about their innovations. We'll close with some closing remarks, but really the meat and potatoes of today's session will be showcasing the prototypes from Phase 3. Next slide, please. So just a little webinar housekeeping. As you can tell, there's going to be a lot of different speakers. So presenters will be able to speak in the webinar when their turn is up. They'll be promoted to a panelist, while if you're an attendee, you'll be unable to speak, but we do welcome your participation in the Q&A feature. So you can pop open that Q&A feature on the bottom bar, and then you can submit a question. So sometimes the question could be just answered verbally, and we'll just answer that verbally. Or if it's something kind of discrete and easily answerable, we may just type an answer into the Q&A feature. But regardless, we would like to collect some questions for the teams as they kind of continue with their presentation, or excuse me, at the end of their presentation. We don't have too much time, so each participant will get about 2 or 3 minutes of Q&A. So that's a good time to kind of ask them questions. But like I said, we don't have too much time, so we will just try and be fairly efficient with how we flow through speakers so that everyone has a fair shot of presenting their showcase and showcasing their prototype. And of course, this is going to be recorded and will be shared on that challenge link that's displayed below. So if your colleague missed it and would like to check out, the Phase 3 prototypes, we will be able to share that recording after the webinar. With that, we can jump to the next slide. So really quickly, we'll do some quick rounds of introductions. I will first just kind of introduce myself and the Capital Consulting team and also the NASA Tournament Lab. And then I'll pass it over to Adam and Marianne for quick introductions. So really quickly, my name's Oliver. I help run Ensemble. We are partnered with Capital Consulting Corporation and contracted by NASA's Tournament Lab via the Open Innovation Services contract vehicle, which works as an interagency kind of contract vehicle so that various agencies can get support and partners to launch and run challenges. So it was our pleasure to design and help launch and manage this challenge on behalf of NIOSH. So with that, I can pass it over to Adam for a quick round of introductions and Marianne as well.
Thank you.
Take it away.
My name is Adam Smith. I am the Deputy Director at the National Personal Protective Technology Laboratory, and I served as the Program Manager for this challenge. And I'll turn it over to Marianne.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marianne D'Alessandro. I'm the Director of the NIOSH National Personal Protective Technology Laboratory that ran this challenge or funded it. And with that, I'll go into my slides. So we are very excited to be here today to share the results of the FIT challenge. And first, I want to say congratulations, everyone who participated in the challenge. It's been a fantastic 2-year effort. We are so happy to be able to share these results today. So I want to start with some background about NIOSH approved respirators and the origin of the challenge. NIOSH approved respirators are required in all U.S. workplaces under OSHA, and 5 million workers rely on them in over 1.3 million U.S. workplaces based on 20-year data. The experience from COVID is that we know not only workers who have respiratory protection programs, but tens of millions of workers who typically do not use them, and members of the public used respirators as well. NIOSH is the nation's leader for reducing exposure to inhalation hazards with a robust portfolio, including the activities that you see on the left on the slide. And notably, over 16,000 respirators have been approved by NIOSH since 1970, of which there are approximately 10,000 that remain on the market. We know that people can be exposed to respiratory hazards in various situations, and exposures may occur during an emergency or regular daily activities at the workplace, in the community, or in home settings, such as during maintenance and hobby-related activities. And wearing a respirator is one way a person can reduce exposure to respiratory hazards when no other measures are available. A filtering facepiece respirator is a type of air purifying respirator that protects by filtering particles out of the air the user is breathing. These respirators are approved by NIOSH and protect the wearer from particulate respiratory hazards, but not gases or vapors. And a tight seal between the respirator and the user's face is critical. A properly fitting respirator will fit over the nose and under the chin and achieve a good face seal. When properly fitted and worn, a seal is created around the edges when the user inhales, ensuring that the user's breathing air is being directed through the filter material. An unsatisfactory face seal may allow leakage of airborne contaminants into the wearer's breathing zone. So what respirators used in occupational settings must be used in accordance with OSHA's regulations, as I mentioned. And a component of OSHA requirements is that the respirator users undergo initial and annual fit testing. And fit testing is intended to improve protection by ensuring proper respirator fit. Can you go to the next slide, Oliver? So our goal is to identify innovative solutions to ensuring respirator fit of filtering facepiece respirators, which is an issue that extends across all industry sectors and with the public who's using respirators. Our focus over the years has been workers who have respiratory protection programs. However, workers without these programs are a population for which we are expanding our efforts. And these workers and the public are additional beneficiaries of our work. Including these populations is a strategic opportunity for us as more outdoor workers and the public are exposed to outdoor smoke and other inhalation hazards such as mold and biological hazards. Our goal is directly in line with the PPE goal in the American Pandemic Preparedness Plan, specifically focusing on the effectiveness components of the goal. The goal also aligns with the NIOSH PPT healthcare targets and the CDC public health goal. And finally, this goal has a tremendous research to practice impact involving broad collaborations with the objective of reducing the burden of fit testing, identifying approaches to sustain fit, and increasing adoption of respirator use by end users. Next slide, please. So we have a suite of initiatives and are taking a tiered approach to implementing innovative solutions for optimal respirator fit. We have innovative solutions towards implementing standards and guidance, long-standing innovations to conventional approaches, creative technology innovations, and one cross-cutting approach. Today, we are excited to share the winning solutions of our three-phase respirator fit evaluation crowdsourcing challenge to identify solutions for assessing respirator fit. So the NIOSH Respirator Fit Evaluation crowdsourcing challenge was designed to crowdsource novel technologies and innovative approaches that deliver immediate evaluation and feedback to end users about the fit of filtering facepiece respirators during their use. These technologies and approaches need to be compatible with the NIOSH approved respirators and should be applicable to a diverse group of end users as well as those of underrepresented populations. Next slide, please. So the challenge was implemented as a three-phased competition. And phase one was the submission of a concept paper, and 20 awardees received $5,000. Phase two was to build and demonstrate a prototype. 9 awardees received $10,000. And the third phase, which you're going to hear about today, is the NIOSH testing and evaluation, where we gave first, second, and third prizes. And we will hear from many of those solutions innovators today. So while we can't take these solutions to market, our hope is that the angel investors, manufacturers, or others show an interest in these solutions and work with the innovators to bring the solutions to market and ultimately assist end users in this use of filtering facepiece respirators. So back to you, Oliver, to tell us what's next.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marianne. So yeah, I will pass it over to Adam just to give some background on the testing and evaluation processes and methods that occurred in phase 3. So yeah, Adam, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Oliver. So during the final phase of the evaluation, solutions were tested and evaluated at the National Personal Protection Technology Laboratory facilities. A mannequin head form with a breathing simulator was developed and used for qualitative testing, and a port-account respirator fit tester was used with a test setup to create good and bad fit scenarios to evaluate each challenge submission. Points were awarded to solutions that were able to correctly identify each scenario over several trials. Due to the technologies used in some of the solutions, test conditions needed to be modified. For example, some of the solutions required the mannequin head form to be heated to body temperature in order for the solution to function properly. Next slide. A qualitative analysis was conducted after the laboratory testing was completed. A team of NIOSH respiratory protection experts reviewed test results and summary write-ups from the phase 2 of the challenge. Solutions were then rated on key factors such as usability, safety, and compliance, innovation, and quality. Overall scores from these assessments determined the phase 3 and overall challenge winners. Next slide.
Wonderful. Thank you for that information. So we just wanted to give an overview on like where we started, where the challenge participants have moved through. Like we kind of mentioned, an innovative approach to this challenge competition was the multi-phase model. So this is a multi-phased product development strategy where we begin with concept papers to identify potential concepts that could actually be built out into viable prototypes. The top awarded concept papers then receive prize funds. They can take those prize funds and actually develop a prototype. And then again, we go through a prototype review in phase 2, and then those top performing prototypes are moved to phase 3, which is the NIOSH testing, which Adam just discussed. And then what we're seeing is kind of the refined prototypes that have gone through these NIOSH testing periods and have performed well. So, you know, again, for those folks who have been with us since January 10th when we launched the challenge to where we are today, we hope it was a great journey, and you know, your product and your innovations were able to advance because of the structure of this multi-phase challenge. So Let's go on to the next slide, and we are about to get to our first place, Mobomo, who will discuss the Fit and Breathe app. So, Team Mobomo, please take it away, and just give us a sec as we switch up panelists. There might be one or two moments of changing speakers, but take it away when you have a second.
Hi, can you hear me?
Confirming.
Yes, we can.
Hear you.
Okay. Would you like me to share my screen, or are you going to use the presentation?
We have
I believe
everything.
we have your slides. We have everyone's slides prepared, just so
Okay.
we're not constantly switching screen ownership. So take it away, Brian, and just call out when you want to go to the next slide.
Next slide, please. So yeah, hi, my name is Brian Lacey. I'm the CEO of Mobomo, and I'm pleased to present the Fit and Breathe app that we submitted for the challenge. Next slide. So a little bit about us. We're a digital transformation shop located in the DC area, and we have over 15 years of experience building digital products for the federal government. Next slide. And we bring a proven approach to emerging technology that's based off of human-centered design, rapid prototyping, and agile development. And by focusing on those core pillars, we can ensure that our solutions are user-focused, are solving real-world problems, and are aligned to business objectives. Next slide. So the genesis of our solution started with the Fit Mask app that we released during the pandemic. It was based off of a CDC's paper that was asking for the use of LiDAR to scan the face to tell the end users what's the appropriate size N95 mask to buy. Next slide, please. And here you can see it working. What we used was Apple's AR kit to scan for 32 reference points across the face to get a proper length and width to map that user to the 10 PCA NIOSH standard sizes. Here you can see I'm a large. You can see where I fall within the PCA standards, shows all the other measurements. And then you can take actions by either purchasing the app by linking out to the mask, linking out to Amazon, or you can share your results like via text message or email. Next slide, please. So for the next phase, we needed to prove that there was a proper fit, not just tell the end user what kind of size mask they needed to purchase. So we did some research and we identified that thermal cameras were the best option to augment our existing app with to do that. And what we wanted to do was use commercial off-the-shelf thermal cameras that could fit on the bottom of the iPhone. And then if you can take a selfie, we could record around the mask, looking at the seal to see if there's a change in temperature of 1 Kelvin or more. So if there was a change of temperature of 1 Kelvin, it would indicate that there's a leak and an improper fit, which would be a failing check. Next slide, please. We also did some of our user-centered design process here. We reached out to individuals in the medical, mining, and construction industry to find out what they would want in an app like this, to find out what their needs and their pains are. And next slide. And then we created a brand new flow to bring in a check my fit function into that app. And then the next slide, I'll be happy to show it working. So you click check my fit, then you go and you select which mask that you're going to do your check fit with. You go through a flow to properly put on the mask. And now the app is going to load up the camera to first identify if you are wearing a mask. So if you are wearing a mask, it will switch to the thermal camera at the bottom of the phone. You do need to raise your hand up a little bit to make sure that it's centered within the circle. And at this point, the thermal camera is starting to take its measurements around the face to look for that change in temperature. So we'll have them start doing some of the, like a truncated version of OSHA's testing exercises, which is to breathe normal, do some deep breathing. Then we'll ask you to move your head from left to right, move your head from up and down. And to mirror what it's like to speak with the mask on, we had them say rainbow a few times. And then we asked them to do some breathing again. So what the app is looking for is for those measurements of 1 Kelvin or more anywhere around the seal of the mask. And we want to pinpoint exactly where that leak could be and show that on the results screen so the end user can take the appropriate actions of either putting on the mask properly or to resize or do a check again of what size fits them best and try a different mask to make sure that they have a proper fit. So here we're at the last step of the exercise where we're asking them to breathe normal again. And you can see here, that this was a fail, and it shows exactly on the right side of the face where it detected that leak because it's a 1.6 Kelvin. Next slide, please. Then really wanted to highlight here, the result screens that we wanted to focus on that would be very easy for individuals to take action on. So, it tells you exactly what mask you're wearing, when you took the test, and when those measurements are. So then you can, if needed, share that information with managers or anyone else. And then, especially on then the actionable intelligence that you could do, how to put on the map properly, or to go through the process of finding the correct mask size. And then next slide. And then also logging. So, having a trail of how many, tests that you have done. If that's something that you needed for your vocation, you can share that additionally with your managers. So that's my presentation. Happy to take some questions now. And I appreciate the opportunity to present today.
That's awesome, Brian. Brian, are you able to see the Q&A now that you're a panelist?
Pulling it up.
So you have two questions, very similar in nature, about this kind of decision point for the 1 Kelvin.
It's based off of some studies that have already been done that had looked at thermal imagery as a way to determine fit. So they were using 1 Kelvin as that size. So that's what the metric that we use to move forward.
Great. So how much and which IRC is recommended? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how to answer that one. I'm not.
Need more context on that one. So some folks are asking if the app's available.
I have not put it through the App Store. Getting the app through the first time around did take a little bit of time, but we are in the process of getting it in the App Store. I did use a FLIR camera, but our future iterations are planned to be camera agnostic.
Great.
The cameras are around $100. And currently it's only in an iOS version. We haven't built it out in Android yet.
Does this work for flat fold masks like the 3M Aura?
For our testing, we only did a few versions of N95. So I'm not sure if we actually tried the M3 Aura. But I mean, it is measuring the skin and the seal around the face. So it's something that we can take a look at.
Cool. There's a question on the use of rainbow rather than the entire rainbow passage for testing.
We wanted to make it the entire process very simple. Rainbow was just the easiest way at that time. So to answer Alejandro's question about how do we ensure that they are correct, future iterations need more and more, user testing, especially on human testing, and comparing that with other tools, and that's in our roadmap.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for one or two more questions. So yeah, Brian, one or two more if you want to just read the question out and then address any of these.
So did we try to compare it to a port account? Yes, we did, but we were never able to get the port account tool working. So that is, again, on our future roadmap to do some comparison testing.
So there's a few questions here, Brian, on when will the app be available. So just curious, maybe a broader question. What is your plans for kind of broader go-to-market? I also saw, I think, a question in the chat that was asking about Android apps. How are you planning on building out this and kind of distributing to the market?
Some of that is TBD. Android's in process, but I can when it can actually hit the market is a little bit up to Apple as they're going through this type of product. But we are handling those. But I think for the first step for us is more compliance testing to make sure that we have exactly what we want it to be doing. So more testing and focusing on that. But
One.
if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'm more than happy to have a chat.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian.
Problem.
All right. So with that, I think we are going to press on to our next winner, OpenAero. So again, just give us a second to transition panelists and speakers. So I believe Aaron Collins will be speaking next, representing OpenAero. So if you are ready, Aaron, go ahead and take it away.
All right. We can go to the next slide, please. So I'm Aaron Collins. I'm a founder of OpenAeros. I'm going to talk about the OpenFit ecosystem, a low-cost open source respirator fit check. Next slide, please. So what is the OpenFit? The OpenFit is a quantitative fit tester, and at the heart of any quantitative fit tester is a particle counter. And as part of our work, we've developed a low-cost open source condensation particle counter, sometimes called condensation nuclear counters, and allows you to measure the concentration of particles inside a mask and compare it to the outside of a mask to compute how effective it is. And we combine that with a non-destructive silicone probe that allows you to insert a probe and sample that interior mask volume without modifying the respirator or disturbing the respirator seal. And we pair that with a software interface, which allows us to get feedback and information to the user. And what this really all ties together is that you can do real-time checkout of a respirator as worn, exactly as it's been put on. And so I think that's kind of the thing. And to show how that works, we'll jump to the next slide. And if you hit play,
first the user is prompted to insert the probe into the respirator. The conformable silicone probe allows for a direct measurement of the concentration within the respirator without disrupting the seal or modifying the mask in any way. OpenFT's software displays real-time feedback about the quality of the respirator fit, allowing users to quickly identify poorly done respirators, in this case a misformed nose wire. Watch the screen as the measured concentration in the mask is reduced once the fit was corrected. OpenFit also features a phone-based app to provide more information, including a digital mirror interface to make probe insertion easy, suggestions to check common sources of adjustable fit-based leaks, and the ability to make fit testing a bit more exciting and social with customizable gamification and fun shareables for social media. Using OpenFit is simple and user-friendly. Instructions and operating steps are built into the software to guide users through the steps of both complete longer-form fit test and a fast, real-time checkout of respirator performance. The user starts the test by pressing the Start button and following the on-screen prompts. All measurement links are software configurable to cover a wide variety of use cases, including compatibility with ANSI standard Z88.10. The OpenFit measures the ambient concentration of the particles in the occupied space. Then, the user is prompted to insert the probe. The user places the probe between their face and the respirator. We recommend placing the probe at the jaw muscle, facing towards the corner of the mouth. A small wiggle of the probe before measurement begins ensures that the medical-grade silicone is well seated between the face and the mask seal. The OpenFit's flexible probe is specifically designed to be compatible with a variety of facial features, working well for soft jawlines, strong jawlines, a variety of skin textures, and facial hair. Next, the OpenFit purges the line to remove any particles that may remain from the ambient sample. Once the purge has been completed, the in-respirator sampling begins. OpenFit records the data of this in-respirator concentration continuously over the duration of the test. The advanced flow control within OpenFit monitors the sample flow into the device in real time to provide the most accurate measurement of particle concentration possible. Once the in-respirator sample measurement is complete, the user is instructed to remove the probe. The system begins to purge the line and begins a follow-on ambient concentration measurement as a verification of sufficient particle concentration and in the computation of fit factor. Once secondary ambient concentration measurement is complete, the fitted filtration efficiency is computed along with the N99 and 100 fit factor. These are compared to the pass level set in the device and then shown to the user on the integrated screen or via the app. One big advantage of the OpenFit solution is at the completion of the test, the respirator has been validated in the as worn and as used state. Our experimental work has shown the introduction and removal of the probe has no impact to the seal of the respirator, meaning for the first time, Users of respiratory protection can quantitatively ensure the product is properly donned before exposure with no modification to the device. OpenFit introduces real-time feedback on respirator fit, user-friendly complete evaluation, improvements in accessibility for fit testing via low-cost product, and scalability due to the open source nature. Breathe easy and with confidence with OpenFit.
All right, we can go to the next slide. A little cheese,
First, the user.
A little crackers with your cheese there. So we've also done some evaluation of the performance of this against a reference system on a 7-subject panel. And so basically the system, what we show is strong linearity to traditional quantitative fit testing measurements, being able to resolve high fits, poor fits, and that between it. We'll go to the next slide. We also did some evaluation of probe how it interacts with the respirator seal, and for the test that we did on a 7-subject panel, any respirators all individuals that had a fit factor greater than 100 maintain that through both the probe installation and removal. We also tested really high fit factor, selected really high fit factors to ensure that the probe did not introduce any leaks. We'll go to the next slide. All right, so if you want to learn more, you can check us out at OpenAeros. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me via email, info@OpenAeros, or my email is there as well. And this is an open source project, so if you want to see what we're doing and kind of where we're at, you can scan that QR code, and that will take you to our GitLab. All right. I think there might be some questions.
Yeah. So you can check out some of the questions again. We do want to remind everyone, please just use the Q&A feature, not the chat. And we are, this is a Q&A feature, so just put in comments. We can't just address comments. So just use this for questions. So there's a question, how is the probe cleaned?
Yeah, so the probe right now can be just dipped in an isopropyl bath, and so they can be reused if they want to. I think they could also be manufactured to be disposable, but we prefer for environmental reasons not to do that. So our objective is to have sanitizable probes that can be reused.
Awesome. What material is in the probe in the green?
So the probe is made from stainless steel, and then this is a cast silicone, a medical grade silicone thing that's very soft and flexible, and that's kind of the trick. And it tapers down to it goes to as thin as about 25 micron, which is about a quarter of a human hair. So that's helped us get the seal on that face.
Interesting. Are there plans to have this device work on elastomeric respirators?
I mean, I think our plan is to have it be device agnostic, so it should work with any respirator out there. We have done some work with elastomerics, although, mostly just quarter mask or quarter respirators. Some people like the quarter mask term, but the quarter face piece respirators, and full face respirators or those with an individual cup might require a probe that's maybe a little longer, but I don't see any reason why it couldn't work with any type of respirator that's out there today.
Cool. Since there's no DMA involved in your system, is this intended to be used only with N100 masks?
Yeah, so for this challenge, we didn't have a DMA just because of the time scale. But yeah, right now it only works in what we call N99 or N100 mode. But with the addition of an electrostatic classifier, it would be compatible then with N95 features as well. And it still technically works for N95s. It's just not we're less sensitive. We're less better at resolving them because of filter leakage that can happen through the filter media itself.
Great, thanks. How does Aeros CPC compared to a port account?
They're very similar. So they're both qualitative fit testers, quantitative fit testers. So they measure the particle concentration inside and outside. The big advantage to ours, it's a lot lower cost. It's also open source. So in times of need, we can scale. Other manufacturers can produce them. We can create a test standard for other individuals. And so in many ways, it's very similar to that, except with the addition of this new probe technology, which allows you to be able to do it without modifying or changing the respirator in any way.
Cool. Is there an estimated cost?
I think at volume, we can probably hit in the thousands of dollars range. We don't have a commercialization plan right now, but I think our target is to be, relatively much cheaper than competitive products that are out there.
Cool. I think we have time for just about one or two more questions. Is the OpenFit silicon probe compatible with other CNC fit test machines?
Yeah, it would be compatible with other CNC testing machines. You would just have to do it in the depending on the brand, like the fast check mode, where you don't do the ambient sample. Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, if they have a switching valve in it, no, that would be a problem because you need the flow to go through the both the ambient measurement and the in-mass measurement to be done through the same tube. But you could stick a probe on the other one, so technically, yes. I think the answer is yes.
Cool. What is the smallest particle size of detection?
So this device can detect down to our 50% count fraction is 10 nanometers. So it's like, I don't know, something on the order of about 1/100th of a human, or yeah, 1/10,000th, or yeah, like 1/1000th of a human hair, something like that, I think, off the top of my head.
Awesome. So we'll use this as the last question. Any condition that have to be met in the testing room, like temperature, RH?
The only requirement is that there's sufficient particles in the room, and for most indoor ambient spaces, even in our office, was quite clean in many ways. We still have sufficient. So you just need enough particles in there, and in general, temperature, room temperature is best. We haven't tested it in extreme conditions, but there isn't technically anything that should go wrong. And what was the other? Yeah. So I think those are kind of the two considerations. So most indoor spaces are going to work just fine. I'm not sure if it's going to work in Arctic day out here in Minnesota, but we'll hopefully test and find out.
Cool. And then I guess one last, so you can talk about the open source. And this is actually, in terms of advancement of the project, I assume that I could scan that QR code, hit your GitLab, and then access the repo where this code is. Anything
Yeah,
else about the open source and if other folks want to access your code base?
Yeah, so yeah, if you scan the GitLab, it'll take you to our open source repository. So it's actually open source hardware too. So there's mechanical drawings. So basically, you want to see how the OpenCPC works, just jump on it. The mechanical drawings are there, firmware, software, everything is all there and ready to see. So if you're interested in checking it out, do it. And if you're interested in helping out or joining us up with us and trying to help, just reach out to me and we'd love to chat.
Nice. That's awesome.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Cool. So we will jump to Consequent Labs.
Great. And Oliver, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Yeah, my audio cut out right at the beginning. All right, are we ready to get started?
I think we're ready. Take it away, James.
Thank you, Oliver. All right, next slide, please. All right, good afternoon. My name is Dr. James Nitter, and as the founder and CEO of Consequent Labs, I've focused our work on advancing health and safety through creating innovative solutions. I wanted to take a moment to express our gratitude to NIOSH for organizing the Respirator Fit Evaluation Challenge. It was an honor to have our innovation recognized as one of the winning solutions in the competition. And thank you to everyone who helped make the challenge possible. So today I'm thrilled to introduce you to the multimodal machine learning inferred respiratory pressure wearable fit assessment system, or MIMLRP for short. This innovation helps us to tackle problems that have long gone unanswered in respiratory safety. So let's dive right in. Next slide, please. The MIMLRP is more than just a new device. It's a fundamentally different approach to fit testing and monitoring. It's designed to address the challenges of existing methods while providing an accessible, practical solution for everyone. Whether you're a healthcare worker, an industrial professional, or a member of the general public, the MIMLRP simplifies the process of fit testing and brings real-time safety monitoring for every user. So let me show you how our innovation can help set a new standard for respiratory safety. Next slide, please. Respirators are relied upon to protect users around the world every day, but ensuring they fit properly has always been a challenge. Both qualitative and quantitative fit testing is labor-intensive and expensive, often requires consumables, and neither solution scales well during public health emergencies. So we approached this challenge with a fresh perspective, using today's most advanced technologies, like machine learning, wearable devices, and smartphones. We asked, what if we could create something entirely new? A system not only capable of initial user fit testing, but also continuous real-time monitoring of respirator fit during use. So our system answers this question in addressing fit testing's challenges and can help to redefine what's possible in respiratory safety. Next slide, please. At Consequent Labs, we think that safety should be smart, seamless, and accessible to everyone. We believe that whether you're in a hospital, a factory, or responding to an emergency, you should have confidence that your respirator is protecting you for every second you're wearing it. This is the foundational vision of the MIMLR system. Next slide. The MIMLR is a wearable system that transforms respirator fit testing and monitoring. Here's how it works. The device attaches to a respirator and uses advanced sensors to assess key conditions inside the respirator. This data is then monitored using a machine learning model running on device, allowing for both initial user fit testing using OSHA-approved exercises, as well as real-time continuous fit assessment while the respirator is being used. In fit testing mode, the user is led through the fit test exercises using a paired smartphone app, which clearly demonstrates the exercises to the user via high-quality video examples. Once the test is complete, the user is informed of their passing status with options to send the report digitally. And unlike traditional fit testing, the protection offered by a MIMLR continues even after the initial fit test is over. It can keep monitoring fit throughout use continuously, ensuring the respirator provides reliable protection even in the most challenging conditions by using the device in its continuous mode. So in this mode, the system frequently checks the fit and reports fit status with visual, audio, and haptic feedback. If a problem is detected, the user is alerted immediately in near real time, allowing the user to first know that there is an issue with fit and to then correct it right away. With the MIMLR, fit testing becomes inexpensive, scalable, and easy for anyone to do themselves, but it also allows for ongoing continuous monitoring, representing a paradigm shift in respiratory protection. Next slide. Our solution delivers 5 key features that set it apart. It's affordable, eliminating the need for expensive equipment or consumables by offering a fully reusable solution. It provides real-time monitoring, giving users immediate feedback when adjustments are needed. It ensures continuous protection, actively monitoring fit throughout use to maintain safety. It's smartphone connected with an app that guides users step by step through fit testing and provides detailed training and educational resources. And it's designed to be easy to use for everyone, healthcare workers, industrial professionals, first responders, and the general public alike. These features can help us to redefine how we approach fit testing, setting a new standard for safety, accessibility, and ease of use. Next slide, please. Our system is currently patent pending, and the development is at a prototype stage, so this is just the beginning. We're looking for partners to help us bring this technology to its full potential. Whether you're interested in collaboration, assisting with funding for continued development, or deploying this system in your organization, we would love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out to me directly with any questions or ideas for collaboration. I'd love to hear your thoughts and discuss how we can work together to bring this exciting new technology to the world. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your questions.
Great, James. Thank you very much. So some questions will start to appear in the Q&A box. If you want to just answer them directly, just make sure to read out the question so everyone has context. I see a question here. What are the sensors used?
Yeah, so currently temperature and pressure sensors are used. However, multiple additional sensors have been used in testing. And then I'm looking at the Q&A. Tim Gordon asks, explain how it uses temperature and pressure determined fit. So there is a proprietary multimodal machine learning model that's running on device that's analyzing continuously the readings coming off of the sensors that are used in the device. Mike Harrell asks, what parameters do you monitor to determine fit? I think we've already discussed that, at least for the competition, we were using temperature and pressure, although there are additional sensors that can give additional context outside the confines of the competition. Ken Kirshner, what's the target price? The target price depends a lot on the market. It depends a lot on the customer. We've gotten some interest from DoD specifically. It depends on the user requirements. So the target price is not something that, I can just give a blanket answer to, Ken, but I will say that when looking at the bill of materials or BOM for the device, this is a very inexpensive device to produce. Terrence asks, how much does it weigh? It weighs less than a aluminum Apple Watch, so it weighs less than 40 grams. It's very lightweight. It doesn't weigh down the respirator in any way. It's very small. It doesn't impair downward gaze. Alejandro asks, how well does your solution work compared to a port account? So Alejandro, it's very important to emphasize that a port account costs $15,000 roughly, and that this is a wearable device. We are not at the stage right now of having gone through, F3537, Appendix A1, 100 plus paired fit tests, done using the ASTM method way. This competition just doesn't, provide the funding or time resources to do that. So comparing it directly to a port account is not it's not something that we can do at this time. But we've been very happy with its performance, and we were one of the winners of the competition through NIOSH testing. David asks, does the device puncture the mask? Currently, yes. There is a void that's created by an installation tool. However, it does not need to, based on the way the sensing is done. With more time and more development, getting the device much smaller than it currently is entirely feasible. The entire device could be housed within the dead space of the FFR. Dean asks, how large was the training set? Great question. So for the confines of this competition, limited time and resources, the training set was spanned multiple different cells in the cells in the bivariate panel and of both sexes. We are looking at having much larger training sets, and with much larger training sets, we will have undoubtedly much better performance. Rob asks, looks like mounting requires putting a hole in the mask. Yeah, so Rob, that's a really interesting question. I asked NIOSH about this. It sounds like for innovative solutions, there is an appetite for looking at how to enable innovative solutions to work in the market. At present, if a respirator manufacturer wanted to go through the RIP again with the device mounted, it sounds like there would be absolutely nothing else necessary for the device to be approved with specific model respirators. However, there is always the possibility for changes to be made, and for if the device remains mounted to the exterior of an FFR, the potential for changes to be made in terms of allowing that to not invalidate the N95 certification in the future. Ken Sandhya says, can the solution be deployed in environments with no internet connectivity? Great question. Very important aspect of this device is everything happens on device. A smartphone is not necessary at all whatsoever. It just facilitates showing videos to the user and providing education, but the device can be used entirely without any connection. Sandhya, also, it does not require any particle counts to be generated, so it can be used in the field in unimproved conditions. Dylan asks, can it be used in outdoor environments where relative humidity and temperature may vary? Yes, Dylan. That's one of the things that we've designed this around. Mike asks, how do you differentiate between changes? Oh, I'm sorry.
Just to call out, we have time for about one or two more questions, and then we will need to press on. So this is great, though. Just go ahead and answer one or two more questions, and then we will pass along to our next speaker.
Let me scan down these Q&As and let me make sure there isn't any duplication here. Yeah, Jeanette, I'll address yours. So did training include a range of ethnicities as well as genders? So yes, we did include a range of ethnicities and genders, and our hope is to expand that greatly with additional funding for the R&D to continue this development. One of the benefits of this solution is that it's relatively respirator agnostic, and also user facial morphology agnostic, in that it's detecting leak in kind of a similar way that a port account can, and which can also be are relatively gender and ethnicity kind of agnostic. Well, I'm not sure if we have time for one more question.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Mike asks, how do you differentiate between changes due to movement and breathing as opposed to changes in fit? The machine learning model is doing the heavy lifting there. We've been very happy with the performance of its ability to, at very fine time scales, discern very transient phenomena, perturbations occurring within the respirator dead space.
Great. Thank you very much.
Great,
So
thank you.
yeah, you got it. So we will jump to our next presenter, Sungmi Park and Sudarazin Jamarian. So please give a moment to transition speakers and then take it away when your audio is ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Sundaresan Jayaraman, and I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Sungmi Park. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present our technology. And can we get to the first slide, please? Great. So we are from Georgia Tech and from the School of Material Science and Engineering. And what we have here is a continuous fit monitoring system that works with your traditional 1860 or your any of the traditionally available, commercially available N95 respirators. And essentially what we have here, as you see on the screen, is first and foremost the ability to monitor the fit continuously. And we do that by using these fabric-based sensors. I mean, these sensors are very flexible, and this is based on the research that we've been doing for almost 3 decades. So those sensors are integrated into the N95, like you see here. And so essentially what we have is a platform that is exactly like your N95. It is an N95, it fits on it, and the testing that we have done shows that the end user does not really feel the sensors because they are made of fabric, and you get a completely tight seal. And so the information, the sensors are gathering the pressure information at the face seal. We have multiple sensors integrated into the structure. And that goes into a small little device here. Of course, this is not packaged as well as the one that you saw just now. And that sits on this person's collar, for instance. And the data is wirelessly going into an algorithm and a computing model where we have a tiny processor that essentially, if you look here in the second part here, is where we are analyzing the pressure data in real time. And we've got thresholds built into it based on the facial profile. And when you do an initial fit test using a port account, then we know what the actual pressure values are going to be, what we call the baseline pressure values. So that information is captured during the traditional fit testing. And then as you can see here on the screen, the data, when the person is wearing it, on the app, we display the pressure at the various sensors. In this case, we've got 5 sensors, and the pressure is displayed. And you see 2 screens here, and we will go through a testing that we did the port account in a minute. So this is when the person is wearing in a normal way. And sometimes we have excess pressure applied at the face seal, which causes pressure injuries. So again, you can see the red heat map here. And based on the pressure values and the thresholds that we have set up, again, it's a learning model, which is able to generate an alert to the end user on the app. And so end user can then adjust the respirator and the fit is restored. So this is a continuous monitoring. So there are 2 things that the system does. One, it is monitoring the fit continuously. Secondly, if there is a face seal leakage, it will tell you that there's a face seal leakage. And when you adjust, the system automatically learns and comes back to its normal state. And if there is excess pressure, then it highlights again that you might be subject to a pressure injury. So what we did with this, if you go to the next slide, please. Great. So the next set of slides is your port account fit testing. We followed the quantitative fit testing protocol, OSHA's protocol, as you see at the bottom, the CFR 1910-134. And so this next set of screens will show you how, as the port count test is being done on this particular subject here, maybe there is some resemblance to the person speaking. So you can see on the screen on the left, which is the port count screen, and here you can see the pressure values here. So I'd like for you to, Oliver, to kind of advance the slide just one at a time, please. So right now it's a normal breathing. Go to the next one, please. The next one is your deep breathing, and you can see the port count is showing that it is still in the range, and the values are seen on the right side. Continue to advance, please. I want to respect the time. Go ahead, next slide. So now I am, the head is down. This is part of your port count testing. Next slide. You can see the pressure values are changing. So again, you can see here, I am talking, reading the rainbow passage as part of the protocol. Go to the next one, please. So again, I'm bending over, and then the next slide. Again, you can see the pressure values changing. So this is the last part of it where I'm back to normal breathing. And the next one, please. So now I've passed the quantitative fit testing with OSHA. So this shows very clearly that during the whole process, the sensors are able to detect the pressures and there is no leakage, and therefore I was able to pass the test. On the next slide, please. So what we did here was to create a phase seal leakage. So the subject is putting his finger into the respirator, and immediately you see on the left-hand side that the test has failed. The port count tells me that it has failed. And you can see the values on the right-hand side on the heat map. Again, the values have come down because the respirator is no longer fitting the user. So on the next slide. So again, once the user adjusts the respirator based on the alert, it comes back to its normal state. So again, the user has passed the test. And the last slide, next slide, please. So in this particular case, what the user is doing is he is applying extra pressure at the nostril, on the top of the nose, and therefore you're able to see that the pressure values are high. So the heat map is giving a clear indication to the user in terms of what the pressure is, and the smart algorithm that is built into it is able to detect the change in the pressure from the baseline values that are there, and is able to generate an alert. And when the user adjusts the respirator, then the seal is when the seal is restored, then the pressure values come back and the monitoring happens in real time. So in reality, what we have here is these fabric-based sensors. They are simply integrated into the respirator, and in the studies that we have done, there is really no impact in terms of leaving any impressions or anything. And the other important thing about this technology is the sensor network is reusable. We can just wipe it off with your sandy cloth wipe that is typically used for decontamination, and then you can put it on the next device and to be able to use it on a continuous basis. So so that way the N95 itself will be discarded, but the sensor network will be used as often as you need. Then the final slide, please. So thank you very much to the Respirator Fit Evaluation Challenge for this opportunity to share our work. And we are very, very excited to be here. And it's essentially, we are able to do continuous fit monitoring in real time and also alert the user if there's a phase seal leakage, and finally to point to pressure injuries. Thank you. And we'll be happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, we can take a moment or two to address any questions. So you can pop open that Q&A box and you should see some open questions. Right now I don't see any, but we'll give folks a second here to ask some questions if they have any.
Thank you.
So we have one, is data processing done at the sensor, or does data have to be exported?
Excellent question. The data is accumulated by the sensors that are built in, and it is offloaded wirelessly to a small processor that will be carried by the user, or if you want to, you can put it somewhere else into it. How sensitive? Excellent question. We've got some graphs that show it's extremely sensitive. As you saw there, when I'm pressing it, you can see the data changing considerably. So we have done extensive studies to show how the sensor is extremely sensitive to even minor changes in pressure that you would see at the phase seal. Thank you. We did not test it with the elastomeric respirators because the focus of this challenge was to focus on N95S, but we chose the filtering facepiece respirators. But we believe we have done another study in which we have created something similar to an elastomeric, and we were able to do the same thing there, and we are able to get similar data. How are the sensors attached to the respirator? So we developed a mechanism whereby it's very easy for it to be attached to these sensors. And so that can be done either by the end user in the before they're putting it on, or it can be done as part of manufacturing.
Great, thank you.
Excellent question. No, in this particular case.
What is the question? Can you just
I'm sorry.
read your question?
I apologize.
Yeah.
These sensors sometimes have a delay. Is the delay of the sensor used by you short enough to be acceptable? Yes. So far, yes, we have not had any, in terms of the delay, is hardly any delay. In fact, as soon as we press it, we are immediately able to see it. It's probably in a nanosecond or so, but we have not really measured the delay per se. How many brands of FFRs have you evaluated to generate R&D data? We did with the 8210 and the 1860, and also the other one with the, I forget, the 8211, which has got the exhalation valve. Yeah. Does the sensor performance degrade? In the test that we have done, no, it does not do that. That's one of the beauties of this sensing technology that we have, that, over a period of time, it does not degrade. There is no creep that happens in typical sensors in the studies that we have done so far. Dr. Park, you want to add anything to it?
You're on mute, Dr. Park.
No, you covered. This is the fabric-based sensor, so this can be either the cleanup with the wipes, or this can be also washed. This is typical just textile sensor.
Great, and I think we have time for just one or two more questions. So I think you answered this one. All right, so I think you have addressed all of the questions. Anything else? Any final remarks?
No, thank you very much. I mean, it's really exciting that this FIT challenge has given us an opportunity to kind of take the technology from a laboratory and to be able to use it in a commercially available respirator. And our plans are now to see if we could do a large-scale clinical trial and then get it in the market, because this technology, as Dr. De Los Santos said at the very beginning, is very important when it comes to respiratory protection for all of us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm
Thank you
joining
very much.
fundraising.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we will go on to the next phase 3 participant, Team Rixel. So again, just give us a moment to switch up our panelists and our speakers. Great. So Team Rixel, if you are ready to go, just go ahead and jump on in.
We are ready. Thank you.
Excellent. All good. Take it away.
We are Rixel, a two-person developer group. Next slide, please. Respirate is our application designed to measure respirator fit by leveraging light and shade measurement technology. It uses multiple AI models integrated into an AI pipeline. Both the databases and the AI models are fully updatable. Using different models has the potential to optimize the measurement workflow by replacing any model with a better performing version. The unique workflow provides constant verbal and textual instructions along with sound effect feedback during the measurement process. Additionally, the app notifies users to take measurements periodically. Next slide, please.
The AI workflow is based mostly on media pipe. This is the beginning process of the AI workflow. This means that we identify key points of the face and other required key points as well. Using media pipe is kind of a standard in face measurement for different IT tasks. However, it could be fine-tuned, and we followed this practice. This means that with time, we can further develop the whole process to be as accurate as possible at the moment, at that given moment. As we have the basic coordinates, we can crop images and find the key areas that we have to analyze for light and shade points, and this way we can measure the size in pixels of the lights and shades, and based on other coordinates and other measurement key points, we can calculate the exact volume of the space that's cover is not enough to perform a good sealing for the mask. And with this data, we feed another AI model, which is responsible to calculate the overall fit value of the respirator. And this value gets translated to the NIOSH scale that is general. Next slide, please. Our solution has several pros and cons compared to different other solutions. We find that
changing.
Sorry. So we find that okay. I hear some voice, but I don't know what it is. Sorry. Okay. So this is this solution requires only a cell phone and no other sensors or other measurement things. It's relatively cheap. Therefore, however, at the moment, low quality cell phones are not ideal to perform this test. On the other hand, it can work on different domains, not just mask fit, but not just respirator fit, but this is a question of further development. And it's important to mention that it can work also offline because the models are downloaded and therefore no network connections are needed. The cons is also some of them. The first and the foremost con is that it requires much more further testing. So this was the key result of our experiment. Unfortunately, it requires a lot more testing. And also measuring small holes is very difficult. And the conversion is something that should be really improved in the next time, in the next phases, to fine-tune both the AI model and both the final results. Next slide, please. There are some screens of the application. However, this is very similar to the applications of other competitors. Maybe it was to mention that we can group all respirators according to different categories, and we can list them according to different points of view. And what is not shown here, we have a system that warns the user about the freshness of the last respirator fit test, and also about the freshness of the user's face form test. This is it, and thank you. Next slide, please, and this will be the last. If you have any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to Team Rixel. So like I've mentioned, some questions will be popping up in the Q&A box. I'm happy to articulate those questions, or if you want to answer them, just read out the question and then you can answer as well. We'll start with what was the smallest hole you were able to measure?
The smallest hole is about 1 millimeter in diameter, and this is too big, I know. So therefore, we have to further develop our technique. Now I can read the next because I see now. What do you consider a really small hole? Yes, this is almost the same questions. Because yes, the question, the second part of the question is microns are our target at the moment. But this requires further testing. I know that in most of the cases, it's smaller than 1 pixel. Therefore, our AI used to figure out those missing information from the picture. Next is, how do you detect the presence of gaps in the seal? This is a very good question. because we focus now on the on the fit, so the fit of the planes of the planes of the face and the respirator, and we didn't focus at the moment to the leaks in the ceiling, and maybe this is something that we can solve in the future, but I'm not exactly sure. But I hope we can. So this is a very good question, and one of our key questions is the same question in our future.
Great, thank you. Got one
We
or
have
two.
another one.
Yep, take it away.
Okay. What is the requirement for the camera? We tried to make a device agnostic solution. So we can work with the phone screen as a light source. So we have different shapes of light source designs. And also we use the camera that is faced on the top of the cell phone screen. However, we tested only with 3 kind of devices. Or long-term goal is to make this whole device agnostic. The next question is, I'm curious if any participants tested with any amount of facial hair. Yes, we tested it. And this is also a very important aspect from our side, that both facial hair and tattoos should be calculated. And to be honest, at the point that we are in this field, the model works quite well because of the technology and the data cleaning. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you to Team Rixel. So we will be moving on, I believe, to our last presentation of the webinar. That would be TrueFit. So TrueFit team, take a second here to jump online, jump onto panelist, and then you can take it away after doing a little video and audio check.
Okay. Thank you, Oliver.
Wonderful. We can hear you and we can see you.
All right. So if you can just keep advancing, there is a little bit of animation on slide 1. Okay. Thank you very much. We are really thankful to NIOSH and for giving us the opportunity to participate in the Respirator Fit Challenge. We are a young and dynamic team comprised of 3 college-going engineers and scientists in the making. And my name is Sandhya Balasubramanian. I'm from WPI, and I contribute as co-founder in providing the business strategy and operations support for Team TrueFit. Next slide, please. So TrueFit has come up with a 2-fold solution, which comprises of a physical prototype and a software bundle, which integrated together provide the solution that is compatible with commercially available FFRs. And we are one of the pioneers in creating visual colorimetric indicators, which when combined with a mask recognition app, provides the user quantitative feedback on fit evaluation. The interesting part about our prototype is the hardware solution can be used without the software accompaniment in locations where there is no internet connectivity, or in stressful environments where people are not looking to run around with their cell phones. And just together and independently, the prototype has the ability to provide real-time feedback in a manner that they can adjust the fit without any kind of a disruption of the quality of the mask. Moving on to the next slide. The market opportunity, I think I'm preaching to the choir here. There is immense opportunity, and I think we will skip this to hand over to Sid so that he can speak more about the prototype as well. Over to you, Sid.
Next slide, please. So as you can see on the screen here, our solution comprises of a thermochromic adhesive mounting system that has spatially patterned thermochromic labels on a skin-safe and hypoallergenic adhesive And all of this is essentially designed to impart a leak-proof seal with the skin, but it's also comfortable to wear. The working mechanism of this technology is based on the fact that we add temperature-sensitive, color-changing labels that can indicate regions of conformal contact or a lack thereof by changing color whenever the adhesive mounting system is in contact with the skin, and it changes to a different color, when it's not. This adhesive mounting system can be readily integrated into any commercially available personal protective equipment, and it's designed to provide a fail-proof indication of leakage in real time. And this is achieved by actually using a custom-developed machine learning detection algorithm that can assess the individual labels for any color change and then calculate a fit score, which indicates how good the seal is. Next slide, please. So several prototypes have been designed and characterized to optimize this spatial pattern design by using a port count fit tester to evaluate the fit factor under different conditions specified by OSHA standard 29 CFR, I think 1910.134, and to ensure basically that a masks achieve not only the highest fit factor, but can also reveal any leakage instantaneously. In parallel, we've successfully demonstrated and are also optimizing our proprietary facial detection algorithm. It's based on a convolutional neural network that can take in images. If you can go to the next slide, this is an animation. That can take in images and can detect and rapidly flag an improper seal so that users are alerted when their facial protection is compromised. Over here, you could see that the app takes in an image and calculates the number of indices. Go to the next slide, please. It does some, behind the doors processing, and then next slide, please. Completes the scan and shows a particular fit score. So overall, TrueFit is able to provide an all-round solution, enabling users to take control of their respiratory safety in their own hands. And yeah, we'll take any questions regarding our technology or anything else.
There is a question about, the question is, mentioned it has skin adhesive, safe for skin, hard to see in pictures. Does this adhere to the face piece or to the face? And yeah, go ahead.
So the adhesive is actually, it's like just a few microns. It's a double-sided adhesive. It adheres both to the adhesive mounting system as well as the face. It's a proprietary silicone that is skin safe, hypoallergenic, and bears good adhesion with both components. There's a next question. Can this technology be applied to CPAP masks? Could you clarify the full form of CPAP? I'm not aware. And I'll take another question while you're doing that.
I think I can address that, Sid.
Sure, Sandhya.
We have tested this on respirators. So CPAP machines have a similar structure. And I think if we extend this technology, we should be able to do that. At the stages of development of prototype, we'll be testing additional ones as we go.
Right. I just Googled it really quick. Yeah, it's basically a continuous positive airway pressure. And the answer is yes. It basically goes on the periphery. So it's easy enough to incorporate that onto the CPAP periphery as well as the face. So it should be able to do that. We actually have demonstrations for half facepiece respirators, and it looks like it probably uses the same rubber seal as CPAP. So it should be able to work for CPAP as well. Third question is, what stage is the app development? And we're still basically trying to optimize our current model by training it with a lot of images. So, it's still somewhere in the early to mid stages of development. How many color changes did you get at the nose bridge area? Because the test subject had the top of the FFR head strap being lower in the lower neck position than the UI specified crown of the head. So typically the nose bridge is, it's a sensitive region because the contour profile changes very rapidly. So we basically spatially pattern the labels such that they're not on top of any curves. So usually so because of that, it's pretty accurate right around like the flat portions of the nose bridge. If you're asking how many color changes, it really depends on how many labels and in what shape we do decide to incorporate there. What is the impact of environment temperature? That is a very good question. So the underlying technology is based on thermochromic or temperature sensitive thermochromic labels. So the specific chemistry is designed such that it encompasses both like ambient conditions, lower conditions, as well as higher conditions, because the specific materials that we use in them, we have a certain subset that is responsive at lower temperatures. So you change the basal spacing and you see a specific color. And then you have a certain subset that is responsive in like the higher temperature range when it gets too hot, which also undergoes a similar change in spacing and shows a different color change. It's all based on physics. Each of them have like different activation energies. So there's no overlap in the temperature ranges. They're mutually exclusive, but at the same time, they're pretty accurate to, what are that specified ranges. Maybe you mentioned it already. What is a delta T measured by the adhesive sensors? If you're asking about the resolution, we'd say it's a plus or minus. We're yet to conduct a fully fledged temperature response study and that, looking at the actual resolution, but you could see like a visible, a perceivable color change if you change the temperature by like I'd say 1 degree for now, but it's probably more resolved than that. We just haven't done that study. So that's something to consider for us. What is
Great.
your
I think we have time for just 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah, I think was one question. What is your go-to-market strategy if you have gotten that far into your thinking? Maybe you want to take this, Sandhya?
Yes, I can. So a couple of things we are thinking, of course, the prototype refinement is an ongoing process. So we have not actively started approaching manufacturers, but because this does offer a unique solution that enhances the fit of the mask independent of any other thing, there are a couple of things we are considering is approach large FFR manufacturers to see if this solution can be integrated into their existing production line. And we know that's an ambitious goal if that's where we want to go. But there are other ways where we are thinking about just an add-on type of structure rather than integration. So both cases depends on how far the app prototype development will take us to successful demo. Thank you for the question.
Wonderful, and thank you. So with that, I think we will close out our presentations. We do want to just, again, congratulate every winner. And if there are any final remarks from Adam or any other speakers who helped run the challenge, now's a great time to just jump on, Marianne, and then we will close out this webinar, but please take it away.
I'll just say thank you so much to all the challenge solution innovators. It's been great to have you here, and thank you for everyone participating in this webinar. We're hoping that there are some manufacturers or other investors out there who are interested in these technologies. We wanted to just get these technologies to the public to see where it could go, and we hope that they can go further and come to market and help protect users. And thank you, Oliver, and your team and the NASA team for supporting us in this effort as well.
Absolutely. So again, thank you very much. And with that, I think we will close out today's webinar. Bye, everyone. Thank you.